Hello and welcome to the Think Tank. We use critical thinking, deductive reasoning, just to put your common sense to draw unbiased and logical conclusions. If you like content where we talk about what's going on, current affairs news, where we bring the news to you from both sides, the left and the right, and we try and find somewhere in the middle. We use critical thinking, deductive reasoning to try and figure out what's really going on. Sometimes we agree, sometimes we don't, but at least we talk about it from both sides. This is your spot. Like, share, subscribe, and help us get to 100,000 subscribers, please. That's our goal right now. Also, I'm personally funding my own campaign to start my first independent film. If you want to support that, the crowdfunding link is down in the description box. With no further ado, I'm going to allow. Oh, and we're here to talk about Jerome Powell and interest rates. We've got to talk about the economy today, ladies and gentlemen. And Dion loves the economy, so I guess this is going to be a quick one.
Yes,
Dion?
hopefully. I'm District Leader Dion Powell here in the Bronx Conservative Party. And I'm an America First side of matter that you may see. In addition to that, I'm a consultant and community organizer. I'm not very good at economics, finances, but I am pretty witty when it comes to civics. So let's see what happens.
Well, this is going to be quick.
No relation to Jerome Powell, by the way. Let me add that. That much I do know.
You sure? So Mr. Powell is dropping the interest rates or stated that because he's dropping the interest rates, it will not affect the housing market. He said there's a housing shortage and dropping the interest rates won't fix that. What did I write here? Oh, I had the mouse covering it. And inflation is rising. The House overturned Trump's executive order about collective bargaining. Huh. That was supposed to be in the last segment. So we'll leave that out. We will talk about it another time, but just because it's mentioned here very swiftly, the House overturned collective bargaining, which means that unions can now collectively bargain again. And Trump's attempt to break unions for his wealthy donors has hit an impasse. But let's talk about inflation. So there's a housing shortage. Trump blames immigrants for it, which is like, what?
Makes sense.
So let me get this right. There's a housing shortage because immigrants making less than minimum wage is buying up all the houses.
Well, if you look at the sanctuary states and sanctuary cities,
So what
since the
about the
border
states in the
was
red? Let's talk about the
you're not
vast
going to let me
majority.
finish?
Hold on,
Wow.
wait. Let's talk about the vast majority of the states which are red and don't have immigrants instead of the couple of states because the vast majority of states are red. Are we correct, landmass wise?
Most of the states are red. What do you mean by that? The governors are red, the legislators are red, or have registered Republicans. What does that mean?
All of the above.
Well, again, the migrant influx, because of the open border, because of sanctuary states and cities, have given these people access to housing. That is a reason why we have a housing crisis. And it causes demand of our resources to go through the roof where the supply was limited. And that caused what? Inflation. Those are the economics as I see it, even though I'm not as knowledgeable as you and others, and I'm not related to Jerome Powell. So that's what my opinion is.
Now, I'm not an economist, but I speak to many to get an accurate description of what's going on versus a party description, which is going to be favorable to whatever party said economics came from. I speak to people like that just do economics because that's kind of the best thing. They're not party affiliated. They're giving a non-biased, educated opinion on what these economics are. I'm not an economist. Speaking to people that can break it down and explain it simply and that are unbiased seems like the best route to get a real explanation of what's going on. There is going to be a housing crisis because people are having babies and building houses wasn't happening at the rate to which our population expanded. That is the pure truth. Houses weren't being built as fast as the population expanded. Full stop.
The
According to
population
economists.
increased because of the migrant influx. That's a fact.
Okay, so you had a migrant influx into blue states. How many sanctuaries?
State Texas as well. Remember, Texas and people border states got a brunt as well, and they're red states. So
Okay, so counting Texas and the blue states, how many of the states had this influx, would you say?
Florida, Arizona, New Mexico, all the states around the Gulf of America. How about that?
I don't know if that's the legal name because I don't know the process of
You can't
changing.
just let it rock. That we all win when it's called the Gulf of America. No matter if Trump called it that or not, we all as American citizens win when it's the Gulf of America.
Well,
So
this isn't about who wins and who loses. This is about legal
the America.
stature, legal
The
a legal
Department of
stand.
Interior did it. Okay, blame them.
Is that do they have the legal authority to do so? Is the question, or does that fall within Article One Congress? But I
Well,
digress.
let's see if it's actually on the map. But go ahead, Leo. Keep talking.
I don't. It's not whether it's on the map or not because if it's not legal, it will eventually fall off the map. You can put it on the map. That doesn't make it legal. Is it legal? Who has the power to rename? It's probably Congress. I'm like 90% sure. He doesn't have that ability. He just tried to assume that ability like he did with tariffs and declaring war in Venezuela.
Well,
So if you say that the border countries, New York and California and New Jersey, let's say 10 states had an influx of migrants in its 50 states. That means the other 40 states didn't have an influx of migrants. That is, let me see, 10 out of 50 would be what? How much, what percentage? Let me see.
not
Um,
good at math. Become throwing plays. Civics.
80%, I want to say. So you double both, that's 20, yeah, 80%. So that means 80% of the states did not have an influx of migrants, but are still suffering from housing shortages. And the reason that that would be is because houses weren't being built at the same pace that the population expanded. But again, I'm not an economist. I just like to listen to people with education and use my own little critical thinking and deductive reasoning skills. And in this case, inductive reasoning to be able to figure out what the heck is happening. You don't have to be an economist to understand that people are having more babies than houses are being built. So maybe you do have to be a rocket science to figure that out, but I got it.
Let's say with the amount of abortions that happen in this country and infant mortality rates, I'm not sure people are having babies as much as you think. But let's see. Let's look at what happens because you're saying that one thing is leading to the other.
This is the discussion. This is the hill you want to
You're
die
making it
on.
seem housing and babies are correlating here. Let's see.
I'm making it sound like if you're having,
Declining birth rates, just like I suspected.
yes, declining birth rates does not mean that there's not an expansion of population. Try typing in population
I said
expansion.
migrants. You're trying to make it about the birth rate. That's you.
Well,
I
you're
said
talking
migrants.
about migrants, which is about
Influx.
20% of the states. And I'm saying, what about the other 80% that don't have the migrant issue?
Well, again, that would be a state by state issue on how they control their housing market and their development. Understand?
And according to Jerome Powell, which is where we started, there's a housing crisis because of a shortage of housing. In 80% of the states that are experiencing the housing crisis, there's no migrant issue. Therefore, that's off the table. That can only mean it's the expanding population, which makes sense. Unless families are having one baby apiece, the population's expanding. Real simple. And people tend to have two, three kids. So you got some people with no kids, some people with two, three kids, some people with 10 kids. So there are more babies than there are people. And when the babies grow up, if the housing hasn't expanded to match that, then you're going to eventually run into something called a housing crisis where there's not enough homes. This is not rocket science.
I'm
So
just waiting for you to tie it back to Donald Trump. So that's why I'm just sitting back waiting. How is this Donald Trump's fault? What did he do to make this housing problem happen?
he didn't. The housing market, this was going to happen regardless. Trump's policies are not. helping it, causing inflation is not helping it by putting tariffs on, let's say,
Trump
wood
wants Jerome Powell to lower interest rates. The man won't do it. He's going to come
and
up with anything.
no, that's completely inaccurate. Like that is like
Trump
everything you're
does
saying.
want Jerome Powell to lower interest rates. Isn't that true? That's
He
what the big
did
problem
lower
is getting.
interest rates and is continuing to lower interest rates. He said it's not going to solve the problem. He did lower interest rates. What are you talking about?
Let's see.
I don't believe this.
Let's see. Yeah, fam, we got to sometimes fact check these things real time because I remember he lowered it like a little bit, but he didn't lower it the rate that the president wanted to.
Now you're changing your story.
Okay, well there
Yes,
you go.
Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell and the Federal Open Market Committee recently cut interest rates by a quarter point, 25 basis points to 3.5 from 3.75, which is the amount that he generally fluctuates the rate by 25 basis points or a quarter. That's what he always does. Their third cut this year. So now we're at what is it? Three quarters of a point, 75 basis points, three quarters, primarily due to a weakening labor market and to keep the economy stable. So, yes, he's
Ooh.
lowering interest rates because of the job market, the numbers that Trump doesn't want to report. But yet, Trump is still complaining. He's consistently low. Three times this year, he's lowered interest rates. And Trump is complaining because he's not. What is Powell supposed to do? The tariffs are the problem. Trump and his policies are the problem. Jerome Powell can't control what the economic fallout from bad policy like tariffs. That is just a fact. He's lowering the interest rates and you're still complaining. You didn't even know the interest rates were lowered. Because Trump ain't talking about that. He's just trying to point the finger someplace else. Look over there. It's his fault.
I still don't see how tariffs have anything to do with the housing market, but okay. But yes, Jerome Powell did lower the interest rates from the Fed, but President Trump said he should have lowered them sooner and not lowering them enough. That's my point. Understand?
Yes, he's blaming Jerome Powell for his bad economic policy because that is what you're saying. Because you don't understand how tariffs affect the housing market. And like I said, if you're tariffing imports like wood, which costs builders that build houses, now it's more expensive to build houses. You slow the rate of growth of homes, and that will further the housing market crisis. That's how that works. The tariffs directly affect, there's a direct correlation between the tariffs on imported goods and the building of homes. That is economics 101. I'm not an economist, but it's real basic. That's what they were saying this at the beginning of the year. This was going to be the effect. That is what's happening. That is what Jerome Powell is saying. That is what economists are saying. That is what anybody is like, yo, I'm looking at buying a house. Why a house is so much more expensive? Oh, it's because to build the houses cost more because of tariffs. If you're looking to buy a home, you know this already. If you're not looking to buy a home, this might sound strange to you. But since I'm looking at the housing market, I know what's happening. I don't have to be an economist to see what's happening. Neither do you.
Okay. Well, again, the statement of affordability is being used by the Republican side. So obviously it's resonating.
Well, when the president ran on bringing prices down on day one and things are becoming more unaffordable, it's real easy to run on something like affordability. All it's saying is he lied. That's it.
That's all he did was lie. Okay.
And commit crimes, a lot of crimes.
God. Well, there you go, family. So let's see what happens. He's still going to be the president, and let's wish the best for this country, like the Gulf of America, which is now officially on your Google search engine. When you go see your freaking maps, it's right there, plain as day, Gulf of America. So that's another win for America. I feel great about it. All the children in school, Gulf of America, like Christopher Columbus.
Who've never even been to America.
Here we go again. I
Oh
knew that
God,
would
not
trigger
history
you.
facts,
I
not
know that would
history and
trigger
facts.
you. Just let it go.
That's the word I'm looking for. Let's see right quick. Oh, well, oh my God. Don't tell me I'm right as always, because that would make me sound like I have some sort of Napoleon complex or some Trump deranged syndrome. The ability to change a territory's name usually rests with the governing body that holds jurisdiction, such as a nation's Congress or Parliament. The President, Prime Minister, via executive order, especially for federal land waters, or designated national board like U.S. Board or geographic names, though for international bodies it involves the treaties and international recognition. Anyone can propose changes, but official changes involve constant consultation in local tribal governments and federal agencies. Let's continue.
Oh, Department of Interior. That's the federal agency that went with the president. Makes sense.
Congress or Parliament. Congress can pass legislation to change names as seen with states or major features. President
Keep
can issue
going.
executive
You're
order
about to get to it.
for federal lands, waters, and features. Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of Mexico. Okay, okay.
Keep going. The Secretary of the Interior. You skipped that one.
Has authority to act on BGN recommendations, especially if the BGN is slow to act.
And who declared the Gulf of America? The Secretary of the Interior. Just be happy that we have a Gulf of America now and not the other place.
Within the United States, the Gulf of Mexico is now legally called the Gulf of America.
There you go.
Well,
Well, there you
so
have
you're
it.
right. I was wrong.
That's what
I
we're
was
all
actually
about
wrong.
here. Yes, I can be wrong. You can be right. I can be right. You can be wrong. And that's what this is about. Learning information, not just so Donald Trump is evil. Facts over feeling.
So it is actually the Gulf of America.
But it's a good thing, Leo. As an American citizen, you should be happy about it. Not just, oh no, no, Trump did it, so it must be bad.
Well, I would be happier if he wasn't invading Venezuela. I would
Oh,
have to
here we
concede
go.
completely, actually.
Here we go. Well, on to the next one. There's always a bigger Donald Trump threat around every corner.
Yes, apparently there is. That's a fact. But any closing statements?
We are the media family, and now so are you. So please, you can afford to pay attention by sharing this content to your network and adding your own little information, details, and resources and articles that helps us out, that helps you out, and that helps out the community.
Thanks for coming. This is Leo and Dion signing out.